David Doughty. He's a physicist by trade. He's an exceptional speaker. So join me in welcoming him to the stage. Thank you, sir.
I think, if it comes up, I've titled my talk this morning, The College Academic Phase Transition, a Guide for Parents. And to understand why, we need to talk about those two words, phase transition. So what is a phase transition? Can somebody out there tell us what a phase transition is, or give us an example of a phase transition? Go. Water to ice, a good example, or water to steam. If you think about ice and water, ice is still water, it's still H2O, it's still the same substance, but it's different somehow. You can do things with ice you can't do with water. You could take an ice cube and throw it through a pane of glass, for example. And college, compared to high school, is a phase transition. Yes, your daughter or son is a student. Yes, it's all about academics. But there are differences. And I'm going to talk to you about some of those differences this morning. When you look at this picture, who is that in that picture? Who is that? Moses, I heard it. Moses, exactly. We've all seen the Ten Commandments enough, right? If you think about Moses, he was an unfailing guide. He got them to the promised land, but along the way, he was also a gatekeeper. When Moses said jump, the correct response was, how high? Lest the earth swallow you up or some equally heinous thing happen to you. And professors are like Moses. They will get your son or daughter to the promised land, to graduate school, to a great career. But along the way, they're going to have expectations. They're going to expect your daughter or your son to perform on written assignments, on tests, and on final exams. And so when you think about professors, or more appropriately, when professors think about your child, your student, your son, your daughter, you want them to look like this guy. You want them to be happy. You want them to think happy thoughts about your son or your daughter. And so the question we have to answer is, what is it that makes professors happy? All right? You see, professors are the big difference with high school. High school has teachers, college has professors. And so what is it that makes professors happy? The answers aren't that complicated. It's students who make academics their first priority. Students who make academics their first priority. They come to every class, they're on time, and they're prepared. They've done the assignments due that day. And the secret of college is that the best students always come to class. The students who could cut don't cut. The best students always come to class. They never miss assignments or examinations because they keep up with the syllabus. First day of class, your student will get a syllabus, either online or in class or both. It tells you when all the tests are. The best students never walk into a class and say, what, there was a test today? Okay. They keep up with the syllabus. And finally, the best students never ask about extra credit because the credit weight is on the syllabus. I can still remember, I'd been here about 10 years. In the mid-90s, somebody came up to me and said, Professor Doughty, I didn't do well on this exam. What can I do for extra credit? And I said, I don't understand the question. And they said, well, I didn't do well. I need to make up points. I said, there's no make-up points. The credit weights are on the syllabus. It's 20% for the first test, 20% for the second test, 30% for the final, and 30% for the homeworks and quizzes. No, there's no extra credit. See, now, something's gone wrong in the high schools. I believe in high schools now, sometimes you get extra credit for bringing cans of soup to school. In college, that doesn't happen. In college, extra credit is very rare. And what that means is that your student has to perform the first time, not the second or third time, the first time. And so I'm going to give you the secret to first-time performance in college. I call it the golden rule for college academics, and it goes like this. You have to give me 25 hours of study out of class each week to assure academic success. 25 hours out of class per week to assure academic success. Now, this isn't that onerous, okay? I'm not asking for the moon here. It's 25 hours. Add 15 hours in class, and you're at 40 hours per week. It's a 40-hour work week. It's what we're all doing. And some of us do a little bit more. But 25 hours is a lot more than last year. There's lots of diversions in college, lots of great clubs that Kevin was just talking about to get involved in. Your son, your daughter may need to exit the dorm room because friends will drop by. They need to look at the library. They need to go to the library. They need to give me those 25 hours. You see, they might be able to get by with less than 25 hours, but here's the thing. Somebody told me this once, never forgot it. Higher education is the only venue in which consumers are happy to get less than they pay for. Because in college, so much learning is done out of class compared to in class. It's another one of those phase transitions from high school. If you're not putting in the 25 hours, if your student's not putting in the 25 hours, you are not getting what you're paying for. Now, we don't admit anyone who can't be successful. Not a single student represented by a parent in this room has been admitted who we don't think can be successful. So poor performance is usually because of poor attendance in class, an insufficient work ethic, poor time management, or the lack of will to defer gratification. Now, not coming to class is simply fatal. If you don't come to class, you won't do well in college. Insufficient work ethic is simply politically correct speech for what? Lazy, exactly. And college has no room for lazy students. Poor time management, I'll talk about in a minute on the next slide. And finally, lack of will to defer gratification. Deferred or delayed gratification is an important life skill. It's Thursday night. The new Blockbuster opens at midnight tonight, but you have a calculus exam at 8 o'clock in the morning. What choice are you going to make? That movie's going to be there Friday night and Saturday and Sunday and maybe for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks if it's a true blockbuster. But that calculus test is only going to happen one time. And so the ability to delay, to defer gratification, it's an important life skill. And here at college, we're going to give your son or your daughter a good chance to exercise and practice that life skill. Now, I talked about poor time management, and my golden rule, unlike the original, actually has a corollary. And the corollary goes like this. You have to have a plan to work 25 hours. You have to have a plan to work 25 hours. You see, in high school, we survey our incoming students. We know that our average student, our average freshman, in his or her senior year, put in 5 to 7 hours per week at home on homework. And if they think they're going to step up their game to 8 hours, they're sadly mistaken. But it's easy to get 5 or 7 hours in, catch as catch can. You could be on the track team, practicing till 5, come home, work for an hour, have dinner, and the rest of the evening is yours. You do that 5 days a week, you get the time in. But 25 hours, much harder, you got to have a plan. And I'm going to share some plans with you this morning. There's what I call the 40-hour work week plan. And in the 40-hour work week plan, you start going to classes at 8, 8:30, or 9, or to the library. And all day, when you're not in class, you're working on your homework. We'll give you a little break for lunch. And you do that from 8 to 5 or 9 to 6, 5 days a week. And you get your 40 hours in. It really is like a 40-hour work week. It's a great plan. I commend it to you. It's the plan to which I subscribed when I went off to college. There's what I call the Frisbee plan. The Frisbee plan is sort of like the 40-hour work week in that you go to classes during the day when you have class. That's an essential component of all the successful plans I'm going to share with you. And then when you're not in class during the day, you can be out on the lawn throwing the Frisbee or whatever else you like to do. I'm a product of the 70s. We're the guys who invented ultimate Frisbee, okay? So when are you going to get the 25 hours out of class? You're going to lock yourself in your dorm room at 6 or 7, or in a library carrel at 6 or 7, and you're going to work for 5 or 6 hours till 12 or 1, maybe 2. You do that 5 days a week, there's your 25 hours out of class. It's a successful plan. I commend it to you. It's the plan which both of my boys subscribed to when they went off to college. There's also what I call the trash your weekend plan. Now, in the trash your weekend plan, you go to class. That is still the essential component. But like the Frisbee plan, you're throwing the Frisbee on the lawn when you're not in class. And then in the evening, you can go out and party with your friends. So when are you going to get in 25 hours? You're going to do 13 hours on Saturday and 12 more on Sunday, and you're going to trash your weekend. If you like to ski and there's a ski trip, well, that's off the table. If you're the church-going type, that's off the table too. I can't really recommend this plan. I mostly include it to illustrate how difficult it is to get 25 hours in if you don't have a systematic plan for doing it through the week. But I gotta tell you, after one of these events, a parent came up to me and said, I subscribed to the Trash Your Weekend plan. So I guess it can be made to work, okay? But that brings us to the last plan, what I call the failure plan. You know what they say in business, when you fail to plan, you what? Plan to fail, exactly. So I'm gonna show you a test question answered by a student who was subscribing to the failure plan. It's a physics problem, as you might expect. I am a physicist after all. It's a nice conservation of energy problem. We've got a block here. It's got gravitational potential energy. Didn't know you were going to get a physics class, did you? And then it, of course, picks up kinetic energy, but then it's going to all go back into spring potential energy. And the questions are quite simple. How far does it compress the spring? And then, second, does it continue to move after it comes to rest? And of course, we all know the answer to that because, well, this is why we don't put springs at highway off-ramps, right? We don't really want cars to get launched back in. We use water barrels instead, right? So alas, the student who was subscribing to the failure plan wrote this. Couldn't answer the question, drew an elephant here, and wrote, no, there is an elephant in the way for the answer. Now, in a creative writing class, that might get you points, okay? But in a physics class, it's worth 0 points. Don't let your daughter or son subscribe to the failure plan. Have a plan to give me 25 hours per week out of class. Now let's talk about unhappy professors, okay? What is it that can make professors unhappy? I'm gonna give you a quick quiz here. What question is most frequently asked by students when they miss class? Did I miss anything? Exactly. Did I miss anything? Now let me tell you, when you ask that of a professor, well, I'm going to share a poem with you, and I'm going to read it with a little bit of attitude, as we say in Philly. Attitude, that's the way we say it up there. And it goes like this. It's called Did I Miss Anything? It's by a guy named Tom Wayman. And as I read it, this is what professors are thinking when your son or your daughter asks that question. Here goes. Did I miss anything? Nothing. When we realized you weren't here, we sat with our hands folded on our desks in silence for the full 2 hours. Everything. I gave an exam worth 40% of the grade for this term and assigned some reading due today on which I'm about to hand out a quiz worth 10%. Nothing. None of the content of this course has value or meaning. Take as many days off as you like. Any activities we undertake as a class, I assure you, will not matter either to you or me and are without purpose. Everything. A few minutes after we began last time, a shaft of light descended, and an angel or other heavenly being appeared and revealed to us what each woman and man must do to attain divine wisdom in this life and the hereafter. This is the last time our class will meet before we disperse to bring this good news to all people on earth. Nothing. When you are not present, how can something significant occur? And finally, everything. Contained in this classroom is a microcosm of human experience, assembled for you to query, examine, and ponder. This is not the only place such an opportunity has been gathered, but it was one place, and you weren't here. Go to class and follow the golden rule. Now, we offer lots of support. We're not going to let your student sink or swim on their own. If you have course-specific difficulty, every professor has office hours. And here's the thing, every person who wants to be a professor on this campus comes through my office. I interview every one of them. I tell every one of them, don't come to CNU because you like teaching. Don't come to CNU because you like research. Don't come to CNU because you like the professorial life. Come to CNU if you want to engage with 18 to 22-year-olds in and out of the classroom, because that's what I'm going to ask of you. They love talking to students. They want to engage with your daughter or your son. Encourage them to get to know their professors and go visit them in office hours. The best students always came to office hours. Now, we have the Center for Academic Success. It's moving into our new Newport Hall this summer. They offer tutoring, free tutoring in a variety of subjects: mathematics, calculus, physics, chemistry, language, and it's all free. I mean, in college, I made money on the tutoring gig, and now we're offering it free for students here at CNU. There are seminars on study skills, how to make sure you're actually productively using those 25 hours that I'm asking for. And other students in the learning community. Your child will be in a learning community with other students living in the same hallway. They'll be in classes together, and those students can help each other in study sessions. You know, what one student has trouble with, another understands, and vice versa. And so getting together in study groups is an essential component of the college experience, and learning communities make that happen naturally. What about other academic issues? What do I mean here? You go to college to learn two things. What is it you love to do? And what is it that you're really good at doing? The two essential questions of college. What do I love to do? And what am I really good at doing? And as you go through college, you learn the answers to those. And sometimes the answers come in the form of grades that aren't where you thought they'd be. And you need to think about different options. Maybe the major I thought, I loved biology in high school, but biology in college isn't the same, and I just don't love it. Or I'm not good at it. Those two questions. And so when you have issues like that, your core advisor, who will stay with the students for 2 years, is the go-to person. They've seen a student's performance class after class, semester after semester, and can give good advice and counsel. Or the chair of a department, the department that you thought you wanted to do, or the one you're thinking of moving toward. Or the dean of the college. Deans have a lot of power. They can get you priority assignments over at the Center for Career Planning and help you take a strong interest inventory to find out what is your passion. You thought it was this, but maybe based on your personality, we need to think about a different direction. And finally, the Center for Career Planning. They'll talk to your student. They'll give the strongs. We will help your son, your daughter, find the answer to those two key questions. What is it they love to do? And what is it they're really good at doing? But here's the thing. Your students have to take the initiative. I can't go and drag them out of their dorm room and make them go to the Center for Academic Success or go visit their professor. They have to take the initiative. Okay? They have to talk to their core advisor. They have to visit the chair or the dean. They're adults, and we're going to treat them like adults, and they need to take initiative. We'll help them, but they are adults and need to take the initiative. Now, how can you help, parents? A couple slides on this. First, you need to have the talk with your student. Now, not that one, the 25-hour talk, okay? You need to talk to them about how is it you're going to get 25 hours in. If your student is an athlete, that's going to take another chunk of time, 20 to 25 hours a week. And so they have to think more intentionally about which plan they're going to subscribe to. But every student needs a plan. Encourage your student to get to know their professors and make them happy. And we know how to do that. Go to class and follow the golden rule. Go to class and give me 25 hours a week out of class. And finally, encourage your student to take the initiative and seek help from all these resources that we put in front of them. Encourage them to take the initiative. What else can you do? You need to talk to students about grades. Midterm grades and finals are posted online, and because of FERPA, you actually don't see them unless your student has signed a waiver. Now, there are different approaches to the FERPA waiver process. When we took one of my sons to one of those big schools in the western part of the state, the guy who talked about FERPA said, I told my son 4 words: I pay, you sign. Now, that's one approach. It was actually not the approach I took. I told my sons, each of them, when they went off to school, we're going to talk about grades. We'll see what happens. Grades are going to tell us the answers to those 2 key questions. And this is really a parenting skills question. It's a relationship question. What's the relationship between you and your daughter, you and your son? Maybe a FERPA waiver's in order, but maybe it's not. But the thing to keep in mind is that grades are indicators of interest and aptitude. If the grades aren't there, it means one of 2 things. Either the interest isn't there. If you love this thing you're studying, putting in time is a labor of love. I loved doing physics problem sets. I know that's hard to believe for some of you. That's why I'm a physicist, right? But if your daughter or son doesn't love this thing, they may find it hard to put in the time, and they may find it hard to be successful. Or if they're putting in the time, maybe they don't have the aptitude for it. Maybe it really isn't the thing that they're going to be able to do, make their life's mission. Focus on the goals when you're talking about grades. Get the answers to these two questions. What am I good at doing? What do I love to do? That's why you go to college. That's the answers they're getting, and grades will help your student find the answers to those two key questions. Now, I just have one more slide. I want you to encourage your son or daughter to make new live friends. Okay? Live friends. Now, they're not going to do that sitting in their dorm room playing League of Legends, World of Warcraft with their gamer friends. Okay? And they're not going to do it sitting in their dorm room Facebooking with 557 online friends. And they're not going to do it going home every weekend to hang out with their at-home friends. At CNU, we have 5,000 other interesting 18 to 22-year-olds for your son or daughter to get to know, engage with, through clubs, sports, campus activities, Ferguson concerts. There are so many. After my 25 hours, all kinds of things to do, right? We want them to have a good time. All work and no play really does make Jack and Jill dull children. I went off to college at 17. I left high school a year early. Too much drama. Went to college. It was like dying and going to heaven. I loved college. The focus on academics, the ability to study the subjects you were interested in. In fact, I could make an argument. I loved it so much, I've been in college for 42 years. I never left. I went to college. I went to grad school. I became a professor, dean, and now provost. If your son, if your daughter will keep these 4 things in mind that I've said, if they'll go to class and follow the golden rule and seek the answers to these 2 great questions, what do I love to do? And what am I really good at doing? College will be the best 4 years of their life. And perhaps some of them will make it their vocation, as have I. Thank you so much for coming this morning.